Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. That's Joe Smith. This is Paddock Live at the new time of 7 p.m.
Well,
yeah, we thought we'd do it a bit earlier, didn't we?
And
a bit extra. Sorry, 7:05 is it?
Yeah.
We're doing it a little bit extra tonight, just while the transfer window isn't on. And we thought, because there's games on and all that stuff, we usually do it after the games. We thought, why not mix it up? Why not do it before the games? So we'll try this new time for a bit and see how we get on. But make sure, as always, you get involved in the chat and the comments and let us know about the stories we're going to be covering, which include Victor Osimhen. Yeah, we'll be looking at him. We're looking at the goalkeeper, Costa, Diogo Costa. We're going to be looking at Memphis Depay. He could be coming back.
God.
Yeah? We're going to be looking at Brereton Diaz.
I can't even believe that's the story.
Hey? That's a real story, mate. Also, Erik Ten Hag, been chatting to fans and that. So I'm going to get into that. He did a little press conference. I was going to say impromptu press conference, but it wasn't. It was planned. But it was just fans asking questions, yeah.
I've decided to call a press conference at short notice. No, it was planned. It wasn't impromptu at all.
I did it on a whim.
Yeah.
He just went out of Carrington and went to have a press conference and that.
Okay.
Yeah, just invite some fans and that, get them in.
Yeah.
So we're getting into the quotes and all that. And we'll also be going on to the last man standing with Bet Victor. So make sure you get involved. Right, Victor Osimhen, go on. Give it to me. What's happening with him? Is this from the Manchester Evening News?
This is from the Manchester Evening News,
friend.
quite simply put.
Hit me with it.
Osimhen interest. United have reportedly drafted up a shortlist of goal-scoring targets for next year. Osimhen, 23, is the top scorer in Serie A and has plundered 9 goals in 13 games this season for Napoli, who are top of the Italian league. Nigeria international Osimhen is a club record signing and contracted to Napoli until 2025. But the Neapolitans will come under pressure to sell if he enters the last 2 years of his contract. And that was written by men because journalism is sexist. Yeah.
Just get some men to write an article for us. Get men, they know about football. Men will do it. Do you like this kid?
I do like him. He's good. He gets injured a lot. He's not He's not great in the sort of build-up. He's a great finisher. He's great at running in behind. He's great at running with the ball. He's an excellent sort of poacher. In terms of his goal output, especially this season, the last sort of year or so, it has been excellent when he's played. He's very much a sort of per 90 stats whiz. Do you know what I mean? In the sense that not quite to the same degree, but currently per 90, I think Anthony Martial's got as many goals as Erling Haaland. But what actually happens is Erling Haaland's got 18, Martial's got 2 because he just doesn't play as many minutes. And Osimhen is not nearly to that same degree. But he's someone that over the last 2 or 3 seasons has missed a lot of games through injury. But my God, when he plays, is he good? Do you know what I mean? That sort of player. So you've got to hope that at some point he can start, playing 30 to 40 to 50 games a season, which is really what you need from a top player if you want to win trophies consistently. And also I think he does need to develop certain parts of his game because his passing and his sort of his dribbling in tight areas can let him down at times. He can seem a bit sort of almost like an American muscle car. He's not particularly strong, but he's great in a straight line. Yeah. But if you ask him to be a bit more technical and a bit more kind of nuanced with his build-up play, sometimes it lets him down a little bit. But he's an exciting, brilliant, very good goal scorer. So who knows? It's just difficult to ignore the injury thing, though. Yeah. Because that's the main issue we've got at the minute. Is Anthony Martial, who you said per night is great because I think he's 2 goals in 140 minutes or whatever. Yeah. But the trouble is the 140 minutes. He's not played practically any of the season. He's almost, not quite, but almost been useless this season to us because he's missed so many games. Now, I'm not saying that Victor Osimhen is going to miss as many games as Martial has this season, but can we take a punt on someone who's probably going to cost a lot of money? Because Napoli will sell you players, but you're not going to go and get him for 30 million. And it cost them 60 million. So, I think rising up to 80. So he's the most expensive African player of all time. Yeah, and they're gonna want to make more than that on him. He hasn't gone down in value since they bought him 2 or 3 years ago. So you're looking at 100 million euros minimum or thereabouts. So it's a lot of money to stump up for someone that, again, and I hate to say this because I know it's so like basic. Has he done it for the... But they don't really win much. Do you know what I mean? Napoli are a team that are always good, get close, maybe win the odd Italian Cup, but really, they're just a team that wins fuck all. They never win the Champions League, they never win the Italian League, they don't really win many cups, they don't really do anything. Yeah. They look dangerous, they look great, they get good managers, they play exciting football, they're the hipsters' favourite, but much like Dortmund, they haven't got a team full of winners. They've got a team full of exciting sort of talents that could go on to be sold for a lot of money, but you don't necessarily know you're getting that winning mentality when you buy a Napoli player. I think that's the sort of, it's not a stat obviously, but sometimes you buy players from clubs like that, like at the minute United players don't really have it, a lot of them don't, and it's just that like, do you have that final 2 or 3% that it takes to win a difficult match, or absolutely storm through an entire season and not falter and not worry and not lose your composure in those big games? That's just a little question mark I would have as well, coming from Napoli, when you're paying so much money for a player from a team that sells players for a lot of money but don't really win anything.
Yeah, I hear you. They used to win things when Maradona played for him.
Yeah.
Didn't loads of people in the chat and the comments. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Smash a like, hit the like button. And if you've not done already, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well.
And smash a glass in your kitchen as well. If you're watching this video, go in your kitchen, just fucking lob a glass at the wall. No. If
you're really angry, go and get a paper cup and tear it. Glenn F says, but he doesn't play enough, and with our record of buying injury-prone players, I think he's not for us. Delroy De Cruz says, what's up, Jay? Who do you think will benefit us more, Osimhen or Gakpo? Cody Gakpo. PSV's finest.
I don't know. I worry that Gakpo's another Memphis Depay, to be honest.
We'll get to Memphis Depay in a little while, but what do you think? Someone who's mint for PSV and not good enough for Manchester United?
Maybe.
Yeah, it could be. Lee Elliott says Gakpo or Tony. For me, Man Veru says, but Mum, Joe said so. Joe said so. Now look what you've done. You've closed them out.
Simon says, but better.
Yeah. Norfolk and Gold says, smash the like, you maniacs. Santa Knox says, I have no paper cups left, Jay. All right, we'll just use plastic ones then and just melt them.
Or just smash a glass one, like I said. We're basically approaching that point again.
Mike 93 says, cheers, Joe. Mrs. won't speak to me now. Glass everywhere. Not good, this. Ikane Justus says Osimhen is the best in Africa now. King Dino says, evening lads, I definitely want to see Gakpo at United. That man Dan says, leave it for Jan. Go hijack Sesko, another target we've been linked with as well. There's a few targets there. Will be interesting to see whether any of those materialise.
There's a reason that United have been buying 30-plus-year-old stopgaps for 5 years now.
Because we're fucking clueless.
One, because we're clueless, but also because it's the most. Strikers are the most money of any player. They're the most expensive players historically. They are the thing that can turn your team from sixth to first almost, just not by themselves, but look at like Salah at Liverpool. Once he turned it on, they went from being a team that was like very good, wow, look, something's going on here, to Champions League final, Champions League final. Like, they make all the difference when you get it right. But when you get it wrong, you can just lose so much money, so much faith. Managers get sacked. Like, these are the sorts of decisions. That 100 million plus striker is the sort of thing that Ten Hag's reputation will be laid on. I know Anthony's a similar case, but he's not expected to score 40 goals next season or 30 goals next season. Someone like Osimhen would be.
It's a good point, that, because I always go back to the last time we spent big money on a younger striker was Lukaku.
Yeah.
Now, on paper, Lukaku's record is 42 goals in 96 games, which you think is all right.
If they're the right 42 goals, he could be a club, not legend, but certainly hero.
Yeah. But then when you scratch beneath the surface, I think he got 9 in his first 11, then he got 1 in his next 8. He didn't score, I think, in his first season against any of the big 6.
No.
In his second season, I think he got 1 goal against them. Around that, he also, we played Manchester City in a derby when we were second. He settled 2 goals for City. It didn't work out.
Productive.
And I feel that cost Jose, especially when you throw in Alexis Sanchez, who didn't deliver either.
Nope.
And that's 2 attackers who failed to deliver, and Jose Mourinho gets sacked in his third season. I'm not blaming it all on them, because there's a load of factors.
But even look at, I know again it was a stopgap player, but you could argue that Ronaldo leap that Solskjaer took cost him his job.
It's been argued that.
I'm not blaming Ronaldo for what happened, but the fact that bringing Ronaldo in, having this expectation, you change the expectations of a club, and then you don't win, you're gone. Yeah. So if you, it's almost easier to get in an Ighalo, get in a Cavani, get in someone where if they get 15 goals, brilliant. because they came in for free. Yes, Cavani was on decently big money, but it wasn't on 500 grand a week like Ronaldo is. They can kind of come in, score 15 goals, be a cool hero, and it gets you another season. If you spend 100 million on a striker, they need to score 20 goals minimum. Otherwise, you're answering questions about a terrible signing, a flop, this, that, and the other. Look at Núñez at Liverpool at the minute. He's not even doing that bad.
No, I watched him the other day. It looks all right.
Yeah, and I think he's. I know shots isn't goals, but a striker that takes a lot of shots is indicative of a striker that will end up scoring a lot of goals. He's taking more shots than anyone in Europe at the minute, Núñez. So eventually he's going to start converting, and yet you would think he'd been the worst striker of all time, like Mutu at Chelsea or something.
Was it the Charity Shield where Haaland didn't score?
Yeah.
And people were writing him off?
Gone.
Like saying, he's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And now he's on for record-breaking season.
The pressure and the scrutiny that comes with a big money striker move or, a high sort of value striker move is unlike any other. So Ten Hag has to get it right. And you can see why people flounder and go, I just get Choupo-Moting for £6 million because I won't lose my job if he's shit. Whereas if you get him in for 120, you might.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm sure Erik Ten Hag's got his own list of who he prefers and who he wants. He seems to know quite a lot of players, doesn't he, that he's targeted already.
Yes.
We've seen him taking the lead on transfers. So it'll be interesting to see whether that happens this time round or whether United have got a list they can go to and look, we have actually got some scouts. You don't always have to rely on you. Here's a list of players we've got we think we can get. Who do you want? Get involved in the chat and the comments. We're going to hear now from Last Fan Standing. Adam McCullough over on there, chatting to other rival fans as well. Here's what they had to say about Manchester United and other things.
I thought Souness had it spot on Sky Sports last night.
What did he
just
say?
He said, look, everyone's going on about the style of play. We want a better style of play. Well, Tottenham's adherence to a style of play has won them nothing. How's about playing some football that you're not very attracted to and maybe winning some silverware?
I'll take
Try
it.
that.
Absolutely take it.
They ain't winning nothing with this. That kind of suggests they'll win something, but they won't.
Tottenham are fucked up.
What do you mean? You mean you don't regret the fact we didn't get Antonio Conte?
Yeah, they've messed up completely, haven't they? Because they've got a manager that is, all he is a trophy. He is just a trophy that you go and see in the car. But I don't know when you used to get travelling kind of people come round and they'd come to your school and they'd show off oh look at the books. Do you know what I mean? The book library guys. And they come round and you go, oh, a book, and then they're gone.
Right.
That's what Conte is.
Like the ice cream man.
Yeah, perfect example.
Right.
Antonio Conte is an ice cream man.
Yeah.
He's not in your life. You don't know him.
Yeah.
But he brings a trophy down the street.
I like the classical green sleeve.
Green sleeves. Turns up, 69, 99, my mistake.
What sort of ice cream man is this? Comes up on my street and we're getting petrol
there's a reason why in year 7 there was an ice cream man at school, in year 8 there wasn't. Comes up with a 99, right? Gives you a trophy and then fucks off again, right? Although the problem is, he's gone to Tottenham on the 9th of December.
Yeah.
It is 4 degrees outside, and you can't be dishing out ice creams in that climate.
Right.
As good as Conte is, he's not going to win the league with Tottenham because they're too shit for him.
Yeah.
This is the problem that Jose had. Once you start slipping down the ladder as a trophies-only manager, where you bring shit football, everyone hates you, including the opposition fans, your own chairman, your own players, but you brought them a shiny Premier League. Once you stop managing teams that are capable of winning a Premier League in 2 years, you start slipping.
Yeah.
And Conte is on that Jose precipice now where he might not win anything with Tottenham.
I don't think he will.
I don't think he will either. And he might win a Champions League, possibly, probably not. He might win an FA Cup or something, but he's not winning the Premier League.
No.
And now you sat there thinking, we've got to rebuild again after this.
Yeah.
That's where Tottenham are now. So I would absolutely not swap shit football and what is most likely to be no trophies for good football and maybe no trophies. It's awful to watch.
It's really weird as well because, Conte and Jose have won trophies, but they've been backed properly in the transfer market.
Yeah.
And you made this point, and I think you've been proven right, and I was guilty of it. Not necessarily that they've got loads of great players in the summer, but when they started signing players, I was like, well, they're already. Tottenham have got a good manager. They've got a pre-season under the belt with him. they've just finished 4th, so you know they're in the Champions League, and they're starting to make these signings: Bissouma, Richarlison, Jed Spence, Perisic, and you like, but those signings aren't that great.
No, well, my point was that at full fitness, none of those signings improved their first 11. Maybe Richarlison is.
No, I don't think he gets in.
Bissouma's not as good as Højbjerg.
No.
Perisic is probably the one where you go, is he better than Ben Davies or whatever?
Yeah.
Yes. But even then, like, you don't play every week, Perisic.
And he's 33 as well.
33. And Jed Spence hasn't barely fucking touched the football for Tottenham.
No.
Like, those signings were good squad players who are kind of interesting players, but they're not like, wow, our first team is way better now.
No.
Our first team is the same, and our rotation pieces are slightly better.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Get involved in the chat. Go over to Last Man Standing with Bet Victor. There's a link in the description. Let them know you came from Stretford Paddock, and let them know what you think about what's been said there. Would you have rather had Antonio Conte?
No.
Do you think he's a spent force now, or do you think he's a manager who could end up winning a trophy, maybe League Cup or FA Cup or something, or maybe win a Champions League at Spurs, or could still go on and do better things? I just don't like him because he sold us out.
Yeah, and those managers like that, like him, like Jose, like, let's stick to them too. So much of their allure and so much of what makes them work is players and fans buying into them as a manager, buying into them as a person. And once you stop winning, season in, season out, as that type of manager, it takes a little bit more for the fans to buy in, a little bit more for the players to buy in. And next thing you know, you're managing and you're saying that winning the Europa Conference League is the best day of your life. And that's where Jose Mourinho is.
No, he's getting a tattoo about it and all that.
Yeah, like, it wouldn't surprise me if in 5 years Conte was managing Swansea.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
No, it's weird though, because like, we were talking about Spurs game the other day, and you're looking at that game, probably our best performance under Eric Ten Hag, one of our best post-Fergie performances, really. Yeah. And you're looking at it thinking, we feel like a club that's got a bit about us, that's got a manager that's exciting.
Yeah.
You know, he's not won the same amount of trophies as Antonio Conte, but he's an exciting young manager. I know he's 52, but you know what I mean. Yeah. And then you look at Conte and you just feel like it's just a jobbing manager going around clubs who, yes, like you say, could do a job, and maybe if Spurs win a trophy, they'll be made up because they haven't won one in about 10 years or whatever it is. But yeah, I'm not.
He's just a door-to-door salesman, isn't he, Conte?
Yeah, he is.
You don't feel like you know him or that he likes you. He's just doing his job in front of you for a bit.
Yeah, and already there's been dramas there, hasn't it, Spurs?
Yeah,
in his first season, he threatened to quit.
He's like, I've never lost 5 games in a row.
Yeah, I think
might just leave.
Yeah, so you know, someone else can deal with this.
Yeah,
you're like, right, already. Like,
okay.
So yeah, I feel like Conte. You know, it was one of those where as soon as Spurs started doing anything good, and United was struggling or, you know, lost those first 2 games, people going, oh, you should have got Conte, and I bet you're regretting Conte now. But there's obviously, for once, a bit more of a long-term plan at Manchester United. I'll get in some of the comments, then we'll move up. Solo in the chat says, big up, Jay and Joe. Good to see you from the United Agenda. Also, we've got King Dino says, we dodged a bullet big time when Conte went to Spurs. Dav Smirnoff says, Jay saying he's 33 with a sad look and me thinking I'm 40. I'm 42, bro, don't worry about it. Right, should we move on? Now, this is one that's come a bit out of nowhere for me anyway, unless you've seen it elsewhere. Go on, I'll let you tell us a little bit about
United
it.
have joined the race to sign Blackburn Rover striker Ben Brereton Diaz.
Ben Brereton Diaz.
The Chilean international is out of contract at Ewood Park next summer, meaning he could be available in a cut price deal in January. And he's been linked with several Premier League clubs. He's been excellent since the start of last season, scoring a total of 31 goals, 9 of which have come this season already. The 23-year-old is versatile, capable of playing through the middle or on the left wing, or out of nowhere in Chile. Do you remember this? That's why he sort of rose to fame. His conversion to going from Ben Brereton to Ben Brereton Diaz. He changed his name and just started playing for Chile. Right. I think he was born and raised in England. Okay. I think his mum's Chilean, so obviously qualifies to play for Chile. But it was.
What did you say? Chilean?
Chilean.
Is that how you say it?
What do you say? Chilean?
Yeah. Is it Chilean or Chilean?
Can we get that? It's Chilean.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, fair enough.
I don't know why I say Chilean.
Chilean? Something like Chilean. Oh, she's dating a man. He's Chilean.
Yeah, he's very Great Gatsby, isn't it? Turn of the century way of pronouncing it.
Chilean. And I'm just your typical, so Chilean.
He's a Chilean.
He's Chilean and he comes from Chile and that.
But yeah, that was his claim to fame, was that he'd changed his name to make him sound more Chilean. And now he plays for Chile. And he's obviously a good player, like 31 goals in the last year, which is excellent. But You're playing for Blackburn. Like, no offence, but would Jordan Rhodes have done a job at Man United?
Yeah, no,
probably not.
Point.
Like, there's a lot of players who can score shitloads of goals in the Football League who cannot score any in the Premier League.
Me and Ronnie were doing a Twitter space, and thanks to everyone who got involved in the Twitter space earlier. Me and Ronaldo Brown were on it. We were talking about which is the sort of priority position that United should go for in January or perhaps even in the summer, and striker came up. Now, the point that Ronnie made, and I completely agree with it, is it's difficult for United. You know, people look at Leicester and they'll go, look at what Leicester do. They get these players from like French second division in the Mint, and why don't we do that? And, you know, why don't we get these gems, and why are we spending big money on players that have already played in the Premier League? It's very difficult for a player to make the leap from a club, not even in the top flight, to go to playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world.
Yeah.
Now, this kid might be mint, but it's going to be a massive step up for him. He might have needed, or might need, to go to somewhere like a Villa or an Everton or whatever, and have a season in the Premier League, playing at a bigger club in front of 40-odd thousand fans every week. Because, you know, we've all been at Ewood Park, 20-odd thousand fans each week. You're playing in the Championship. No doubt he's got a bit about him because of the goal-scoring record. But it is a massive ask for someone to go from that, from sort of kicking around in Blackburn, going for the playoffs or whatever in front of 20-odd thousand fans, to coming to Manchester United where it's like 70-odd thousand fans every week. We want to see you leading the line for a club that's got aspirations of eventually challenging for the title.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an ask, and I don't know whether this is a gamble too far where he's going to get this player in, get this kid in, and you're going to go, what was that about? Why did we get him?
There's a reason people like Haaland goes the trajectory. Does he go to Dortmund first?
Yeah.
Or why Conte needed to go to Leicester first, or Mahrez needed to go to Leicester first, or, I mean, I know he's not left there yet, but Ruben Neves needed to go to Wolves first. He played in the Championship. He's come up now. He's looking like a central midfielder that could be a top player. But it's not. It's like saying, you know, if there's some stepping stones across a river or something. It's like saying, well, I want to be at that end, so let me just jump all the way across. You wouldn't make it.
No.
Sometimes you have to take those steps in pressure, in intensity, in expectation, just in, you know, playing around better players. You can't always just go, why didn't United sign him when you know, why didn't United sign Shinji Kagawa from Japan for 400 grand like Borussia Dortmund did? Well, that's because he needed that jump. And also, we can't afford to take risk after risk after risk when the expectation is winning trophies.
Yeah.
If you buy someone that's wrong from the Championship, then you just absolutely slandered and slaughtered the whole time. Think of the stick that Dan James got for playing for Man United.
And he weren't even that bad.
No.
He was all right.
Because he wasn't quite good enough.
Yeah.
Like, we just got someone who Leeds didn't even want him.
Yeah.
Or like Leeds were going to have him for £4 and we've spent 15 quid on him. Like, shut up.
Kay Buckley says, you could just walk across.
I could, because the river's quite dry because of global warming.
All right, okay. Darren Hickey says, how Jay and Joe? Hi, Jay and Joe. How and Jay, he says. I think he means Joe and Jay. Do you ever go home? You're always in the studio. This is our home. We live here. I've got a nice little bunk bed in the back there. Don't worry about it.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Although sometimes I can hear you doing stuff on top bunk and I don't want to say it because I'm being embarrassed.
Yeah, it's called reading. Yeah.
How come you...
mags. I'm old school.
How come you say stuff like...
Right enough. Yeah, I'm still recovering from the ice cream van selling 69s
I heard you
at
say,
schools.
spit at me, you naughty sausage. How come you said that when I was trying to sleep?
I was reading my recipe book. Right, enough of this spitting on sausages. Let's get into some more transfer rumours. Manchester United linked with Diogo Costa.
Yeah.
Talk us through this one.
Get him in. United monitoring Porto goalkeeper despite recently signing new long-term contract. Presumably that's him that signed it, not United have signed it. Anyway, there is no decision yet on David De Gea. Still the same situation. We'll see when Man United and Erik ten Hag will decide. I think Dean Henderson will look for different options after going out on loan to Nottingham Forest this season. So, I mean, there's no mention of Diogo Costa even in that. He does look
like
fuming.
He's stood at the bus stop and the bus has just gone past him without picking him up.
It looks like it's wet him. It's wet his legs.
Look at him. He's raging.
Yeah.
He seems to have become a popular figure amongst the...
He's your hipster's favourite.
Yeah, amongst a lot of the fans online who have spoke to him when we've done the news. Obviously signed a new deal, which isn't great because you're going to have to pay more money for him.
Who is he? FDR? Who was it who signed the new deal?
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, yeah, very good indeed. Would you have him? Is he the answer? Do we still
he looks
stick
good.
with De Gea?
He looks like a good goalkeeper. It depends what you can get for De Gea. I mean, like we said before, De Gea's improving, and his stats, if you look at him this season compared to the last sort of year as a whole, including obviously last season, his stats are noticeably better, but they're all still below average. Do you know what I mean? De Gea went from being like one of the worst goalkeepers at coming out of his box to being, only worse than 70% of goalkeepers. He went from being one of the worst goalkeepers at passing it out from the back to being only worse than 60% of goalkeepers. Yeah. So it's like, yes, he's got better. You can see he's got better. He's actually got massively better De Gea. Yeah. But he's still below average in a lot of the stats you would want him to be. Why can't we have one of the best passing, one of the best claiming, one of the best sort of offensive goalkeepers in the world, not just someone that's slightly better than they used to be. So he looks like a very promising goalkeeper. I think he's quite young as well. How old is he? 24?
Something like that. Also, on his buyout clauses, apparently there's approximately a 65 million quid, 75 million euros.
That's what goalies cost. That's what Alisson cost. That's what Kepa cost. That's what Mendy cost. Like, if you want a goalie that you think is going to be a top class goalkeeper, you pay 65 million quid for him. That's just goalies now.
That's the way it's gone, and it's not that surprising, because it's like obviously one of the most important positions on the pitch, and also your goalkeeper usually tends to play every game.
Yeah. And
it's not like, sometimes with a striker or whatever, he might rotate or whatever. It's like, this is your guy who's playing as goalkeeper every match for him. You needed to get a top goalkeeper. Again, the sort of thing we were talking about earlier with strikers and buying strikers from lower leagues, or them coming to Old Trafford and having to make that step up. The same could go with goalkeepers. I know Porto's a smaller club than Manchester United, but if he's about, if he's got a bit about him, he could make that step up.
That's a fair jump, isn't it? It's a team that, I don't know if he has won the league with Porto. I don't know how long he's been there, but they're a team that is used to challenging for titles, winning trophies in Portugal. It's not that's not a huge jump from Porto to Man United. It's a jump, but it's not like, how can I ever?
We've had players from that sort of level, haven't we?
Yeah.
From the Portuguese league, Bruno, Ronnie, Nani. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that this kid could do it. It says here he's got 9 clean sheets in 18 matches this year, and 3 of those came in 6 Champions League games. So again, decent record. I'd like to see a bit more of him. I might watch a bit more of him because I'm not sure. And a big factor, as you mentioned there, would be what he does with his feet, and the fact he's a little bit more like these sweeper keeper types that everyone loves, don't they? Yeah. You can't just save shots now if you're a goalkeeper. You've got to do everything. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Smash a like on the old YouTube video. Right, let's move on anyway. Let's talk about an old favourite.
Yes.
Go on, I'll let you talk us through this one.
How has he got an earring on during a game?
He's got a microphone behind his back. He's just about to do one of his Instagram video song things that he does.
Trofolu Joan Gamper. There you go. Depay demands transfer. He wants to leave as a free agent in January, so that Barcelona do not profit from selling him. All right. Sozard. Actually, I'll leave on a free. I'm not letting you have any profit on me. The Netherlands international apparently...
Does he think he's Kanye West?
Yeah, the Netherlands international apparently believes it was the Spanish giants who benefited from signing for nothing a year and a half ago. Now he wants to be the one who benefits from a seamless exit. United sold Depay to Lyon in January 2017, and he flourished in League 1, eventually earning a move to Barcelona 4 years later. Well, actually, guys, you benefited from buying me, so I'm actually going to benefit from you selling me. That's how football works, 1 for 1, 50% each.
Can I just say...
It's not, what is this? I don't even believe he thinks that. This is just bullshit.
Fair enough. Can I just say, though, there have been a lot of reports, rumours, linking him with him.
I think we might be after him, or he might want to come to United.
I hope not.
Nah,
he's done all right since he's left United. His record at Lyon was decent.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's had, he had seasons, I think, where he got 19 goals and stuff like that. So he's done quite well. But when I've ever seen him, I don't look at him and go, oh, he's changed massively now since he was at United. If he came back, he'd smash it for us. I still think we'd have the same sort of issues we had last time with him. And that was the sort of thing that he came to United, it's a bigger club. Okay, he's been at Barcelona now, so he's been at a big club, but his confidence seems to go after the first few months. The first couple of months, he was all right. His confidence fell off a cliff. There was issues around his sort of, not his attitude as such, but the way the the way he carried himself, you know, he's turning up with different cars every
Releasing
week.
like rap videos.
Releasing
and that.
videos, you know, and I think some of the players like, you shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff. Are those issues going to go away? Or are they still going to be highlighted by the media who were on his case last time round? And I just feel this transfer to me just feels so underwhelming if it happened.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we've got Depay back. And it'll be the same old shite where you get all the reports, oh, he's returning home and all that, and now he's come back, he's going to smash it and all that other nonsense that we saw when Pogba came back. And you think, really? Is he?
No.
If he had a choice of strikers, would he be in his top 20?
No.
If you had a choice of any? No. So it's just like, we're going to get him because he's free and Barca don't want him. Yeah, mint.
He's just not that good.
No.
He's a decent striker.
He's
And
alright, but-
he's like a. Do you ever have a mate or someone you knew growing up, and then you see them on Facebook, and they dress completely different to how they used to dress? Like everything's just like, it doesn't seem to. You're like, why have they got like flares on now? They used to be a chav like 20 years ago, back when we all were. He's got that thing where he's like, it's almost like he's decided he's like a silky, tricky player because he liked Ronaldo growing up. But actually, he's a stocky, muscular, quite clunky player at times. He's quite knock it and run at times. He's not particularly good, like, his build-up play is not great. His touch lets him down a lot. He's actually quite a target man, almost physically, and yet he tries to play like he's a sort of tricky winger when he's not. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like he's torn between styles. Like his body wants him to do one thing, but his brain wants him to be something else. And I think he's never quite hit the heights of either of those types of players. He's not a winger that you can rely on to be silky and skillful and go past someone. And yet he's not a striker that can hold the ball up, spin his man and put it in the back of the net consistently either. So I just don't think he brings a lot to Man United. Why, visually and PR-wise, it's such a backward step as well. Let's go back to someone that wasn't good for us 5 years ago.
When his star was rising higher than it has ever been. When he was at PSV. Just on that sort of the off-the-field stuff. Listen, I don't mind players doing off-the-field stuff. Like, if they want to make music videos, if they want to buy flash cars or wear
make their own pickled onions or whatever.
Yeah, I don't care because, when I was growing up, players used to go and drink 12 pints after the game, and do you know what I mean? Getting all sorts of shit. So it's not like it's the worst thing in the world. The point is, when he comes back to United, if he's doing those things, they get highlighted by the press. He'll get hammered for them. It causes issues because of the way you get treated. I've seen it before, and that's what's going to happen for him.
And the other thing to remember as well in this is, it's not just like, oh, well, he can do what he wants. Other players don't always like it.
No.
It's not just like, oh, well, come on, let's grow up. You're allowed to do stuff off the pitch. Often in dressing rooms, people get their fucking piss.
Well, apparently, wasn't it Rooney who said to him? He came up in like a gold-plated Rolls Royce or something. Yeah. And Rooney said, "Don't be driving that into training. Like you look like a twat or whatever."
Exactly.
And then he came back the next day in like a gold-plated Ferrari. And Rooney's like, I'll just give up.
So you can say what we want about like, oh, come on, it's 2022, he's allowed to do it off the pitch, but it's not always just like fans and pundits that don't like it. Often in the dressing room, that sort of thing can cause problems as well. It
can. I'll get in some of the comments before we move on. King Dino says, I think Memphis would probably drown if he came back. Ross Murphy says, Depay was living the dream, but with the performances on the pitch just not being good.
He's a bit big fish, small pond, Memphis Depay.
Yeah.
And he's decent at that, but I don't think he can be small fish.
Emmett Sona says, would you get him back if he promised to wear the Matador outfit? Jake says, it's lazy journalism. Lads, if I get my words out. It's just too easy to link former players for a return.
Lady journalism, is that in contrast to men that wrote the other article before?
Yes, lady journalism now. Yeah, the sisters are doing it for themselves. Steve Kilgariff says, I'd rather Welbeck back. Listen, Danny Welbeck returning to Manchester United would be the greatest signing of all time.
Can I tell you something about Danny Welbeck? I want to tell you this.
Go on.
I was looking
He's
at some.
mint,
I was looking at. Well, let's hear me out first.
Right.
I was looking at some stats before.
Don't look at stats.
And do you know how you?
No, you don't need to see stats. Right.
I was looking at Haaland, and you can see like number of goals scored, and he's in like the top 99th percentile, obviously. Like,
yeah.
And I clicked on it in terms of percentile, and it said max Haaland 1.4 goals per game.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
So this is across all players in Europe.
Yeah.
Min.
Yeah.
0.0 goals a game. Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, exactly.
He's literally been used as an example of the worst finisher, the worst goal scorer in Europe.
That's the beauty of Danny Welbeck, right? If you want players to score goals, let them duffers like Haaland and Salah and them idiots score goals. Do you know what I mean? Anyone can do that. But if you want a player who's going to be a bit different, right, who sees the bigger picture, then you need Danny Welbeck. Vince McDonald says, what about rumours we're interested in Enzo Fernandez again? That kid is a proper baller. Hope there's a bit of truth in this. We're going to get to that a little bit later on.
Yeah, we've got that.
Yeah, we have got that on our list. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Let's talk about James Garner.
Yeah. Garner, disappointed.
Right.
He's garnered some attention.
He's garnered some nice.
James Garner revealed in an interview his disappointment at leaving Manchester United. In the moment, it's very disappointing. That was the club that I trained with 5 times a week for years and years and years. That I made my debut with, but I didn't want to stagnate. I didn't want to stay there, really. When they said I could leave also, I was in agreement with that. I just think it all made sense. I had 2 good seasons on loan and returned to United in the summer.
Wow, there's more.
I know myself. I wouldn't have played if I had stayed. Well, I don't think he's playing much at Everton yet, is he? But that's, he's got a different story, and he's got a much better likelihood of that happening. I knew it was the perfect time now at 21 to move on and try to stake my claim somewhere else and hopefully find a home, which I have now here in Everton. Where I am at my career now, I just didn't want to be an extra body, or I didn't want to just be a spare player in training. Last season, I was one of the main players in Forest's team, and that is what I want to be. I don't want to be just another player who is there for numbers in training. I want to be a main part of the team, whether that is as a starter or coming off the bench. Fair enough. Because he is on the bench for Everton, and he has started. I think he started their last game as well.
Yeah, I think at first he came in, he's just on the bench, but then he's been getting some more games.
So that's what he's saying.
I think the thing with Garner is I liked Garner. I saw him for the under-23s a couple of times with that Sports Village. I think he scored as well last time I was there. I saw him. Obviously did really well at Forest. Did well against Premier League opposition. They played Leicester. They played Arsenal. They played the Scousers, and he handled himself very well. He's a bit unfortunate in pre-season. He got that injury. Yeah. The likes of Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Savage came in for those pre-season games, did well, and he didn't get into later on. Obviously, Ten Hag's looked at it and thought, you're not, you're not someone I'm going to use. He's took the plunge. He's gone to Everton. Wish him well. I was disappointed when he went, especially for the fee, 9 million. You thought that's a bit cheap for a player that's got so much potential. But I think in the cold light of day, you have to trust the manager, and it's one of those where there was a lot of outrage, and you think, okay, would he have been good enough for Manchester United? Maybe, but especially with the likes of Casemiro coming in, Eriksen, there's just more bodies in midfield now. So it's one of those. And that, can I just say, sorry to interrupt there, that is a decent interview. There's nothing wrong with that. No. He's saying all the right things. He's not being bitter. He's not being a knob.
That's less harsh than Dean Henderson's interview.
And Dean Henderson still plays for
Man United.
Dean Henderson was talking about things like criminal and all this nonsense. Shall we move on anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, we wish James Garner all the best. Enzo Fernandez. This is what someone was asking about. Go on, talk us through this one.
United reportedly want to seal a transfer deal for Benfica midfielder Enzo Fernandez. He's now been strongly linked with by United by the print edition of Record, who state that the Red Devils look to be ahead of their Premier League rivals so far in terms of showing the strongest interest in the Argentina international. The player has barely arrived in Lisbon, being signed from River Plate in a 12 million deal in July. Now he's valued by Transfer Market at 35 million euros and protected by a £120 million release clause. Interesting. Well, I mean, we're not paying that for him, first of all. First things first.
First things first.
But we're crazy about Fernandez, apparently.
Do you know much about this kid? Do you rate him?
I know that he's very highly rated. He's not someone that I've watched a lot. I've looked at some stats. I've looked at some people talking about him that know more about him than I do. And he looks to be one of those players that, again, is taking that step where he's come from River Plate. Probably that jump to one of Europe's sort of top teams might have been too much for him, but at the minute he's looking very good for Benfica, and maybe in a year or 2 years or 6 months, whatever it may be, he might be ready for that next step to United. But he looks to be a very exciting player. It's just, the only thing is, I worry. I don't know who he'd come in and replace. That's my only worry with him. He's a good player, but I don't think he's better than Casemiro. I don't think he's better than Bruno. Where he'd come in and play would be another issue potentially. But he's a very good player.
A couple of comments here. Annihilator83 says, think of Tony Cruz. He also says he's a really good, a must-buy.
Put him next to Casemiro, maybe behind Bruno.
Delroy de Cruz, going back to the James Garner thing, says, would you play Garner over Donny? I probably would, but it's a mute point now. He's gone on it. Listen, there's been I agree with that. He's a good type player. As long as we're not paying stupid money, then you can look at him. But if he's something like 120 million euros, it's just not happening, is it? Listen, we've had this press conference from Erik ten Hag, right? Yeah. Erik ten Hag's been speaking to the fans, but it's not like a normal press conference where it's been like, there's been 1 or 2 questions that are probably a bit controversial or, there's a bit, news with it. It's basically just general questions, which we get because obviously the club has sanctioned this. The fans, I think, from supporters group groups, we've got to ask him. I'll just talk through a couple of the things that he spoke about. He spoke about the supporters, says they're magnificent, the atmosphere, what we see at the moment at Old Trafford is magnificent. The fight, I think you feel it. So yeah, he's complimenting the fans, and I agree with a lot of that. I think some of the atmospheres we've seen this season, especially the Spurs game, which is one that sticks in memory, was fantastic. Spoke about trophies as well, and about the fact that United have always won trophies, and the importance of that. And he was addressing questions on his first few months as manager, and how it's an exciting process, and it's hard work, but he's sort of happy in what he's doing and stuff. I think it's on the official club website there. You can go and have a look at it. I don't want to go on too much about this because I don't think it's really telling us anything. It's what you would expect.
It's nice to hear from him.
Yeah,
and it's good that the fans have been given a chance to chat to him. But yeah, there's nothing where you particularly go, he said what?
He said Ronaldo's gone.
No,
he sold him. Wow.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So yeah, I like Erik ten Hag. I like him in press conferences. He carries himself well. I think he's got the right balance with the media of being sort of firm and friendly when he needs to be. I like the fact that who's that fucking idiot who's just following him around car parks all the time.
Oh yeah,
that absolute dickhead.
Oh,
Gary Cotterill, yeah.
I
liked it when he was in the press conference and I just ignored him.
Yeah.
Just don't answer his questions. You don't have to. No. Do you know what I mean? I liked a bit of that. We saw him on the press conferences on pre-season, and he's got a good relationship. He seems to have fostered a good relationship with the press, which is what you need from a Manchester United manager. It doesn't need to be Bezzies with them all. Fergie certainly wasn't, but you need to have that sort of rapport where you can get your point across, and I think he handles it all very, very well. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel and hit that like. You're back tomorrow evening, aren't you, for the Aston Villa game?
Big time. Watch along tomorrow.
Who's we are?
We've got Ryan Hopper.
Oh.
And I believe it's Abdul as well. So to double check that, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's good to know. So don't forget to miss that.
Return of the RH.
Yeah, up the RH. We've also got an overlap video coming out as well, haven't we? So that's coming out. You've got the watch along. Make sure you tune in for that. Don't forget as well, if you've not done already, go and check out some of the other videos we've got up on the channel, the podcast previews, all that stuff. Me and him have previewed the game for the League Cup tomorrow. Just ignore him. When he acts like that, the best thing to do is just ignore him. I've been Jay. That's been Joe. This has been Paddock Live. Thanks for watching. Will you pack it in?